All right, guys. Looks like we are live. So, welcome to the Trade Deadline live stream. I'm Michael McKenzie. I will be your host for the Trade Deadline live stream. You guys can ask any questions you may want in the chat about the trade deadline, anything kind of baseball related. As you can see, kind of in the lower part of your screen, we have the trade ticker going. All the trades that have been going on. A recent trade was actually just made. Daniel Hudson acquired by the Washington Nationals for an unknown return. Right now, I will be checking that. I'll be using MLB.com, MLBTradeRumors.com. The Nationals have acquired Daniel Hudson, and let's see, the return, it looks like it's going to be the minor league right-hander Kyle Johnston. He will be going to the Toronto Blue Jays, and it looks like the Nationals are also working on acquiring Ronis Elias. I said a few weeks ago that if the Pirates are going to be in this position that they should go after Elias. He kind of fell under the radar. He's been an under-the-radar pitcher this entire trade season. Left-hander from Seattle. He's had some fantastic seasons. He's pretty good as a starter, but the Nationals, they've needed back-end bullpen help, especially on the left-hand pitching with left-handers. They got a righty in Daniel Hudson. Some people said that if they're willing to part with Carter Kieboom and a couple of their top prospects, that they should be able to go after Felipe Vasquez. But if they get Ronis Elias, as this report is saying, Ken Rosenthal coming out with this one. So Elias could be going to the Nationals. So the Nationals could make two acquisitions within the past about 10 minutes, and the Mets are planning on keeping Edwin Diaz too, according to this report from John Heyman. So the belief is that will happen. They traded Jared Kelenic, Justin Dunn to the Mariners for Diaz and Robinson Cano this winter. So the Mets, they kind of want to keep. I think that's a good move for the Mets, that they kind of want to keep that going for a few years. And, that's probably the best decision for the Mets, wanting to keep Edwin Diaz, especially after going out and getting Marcus Stroman. If you're going to get Stroman, you're going to be able to want... If you're going to want to get out of Stroman, you're going to want to contend. If you're going to want to keep Stroman, if you want to trade for Stroman, you're going to want to keep Thor, which they're planning on doing. And you're going to want to keep Edwin Diaz, a closer who hasn't had his best season, but he still could be good. Those are the only two really players left on the trade market for the Mets. Also, Zach Wheeler, Wheeler could be dealt free agent after this season. The Mets would have to match a qualifying offer to keep Wheeler at the end of the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded. In the near future, which is about a couple of hours at the latest. Trying to get some of the latest stuff here, latest rumors, and we'll go over some of the trades in the past week, some of the bigger trades, not some of the smaller trades like the Homer Bailey deal, like the Jake Diekman deal a couple of weeks ago, like the Sergio Romo deal just a few days ago, and some of the trades yesterday, like Nate Jones, that actually happened earlier today, I believe, and Chris Martin. Although the Chris Martin trade, I do have a couple of words on that. I definitely think Colby Allard should have been kept by the Atlanta Braves. I definitely think that there's a lot in that kid's future. He seems like he's a good kid. He's a good pitcher to have in the near future. If you guys have any questions on the trade deadline, make sure to leave them in the chat, and I will answer them as soon as possible. As soon as I see them. Again, trying to get the latest rumors here. I'm gonna go to the 3-team deadline. the 3-team deal with the Indians, Reds, and the San Diego Padres. Padres ended up giving up Logan Allen and Franmil Reyes. Gave them to the Indians. The Indians didn't give up anything other than Trevor Bauer to the Reds. The Reds gave up Taylor Trammell to the Padres. The Padres gave up Logan Allen and Franmil Reyes to the Indians. Those were the big moves. I'm not going to talk about where Victor Nova and Scott Moss come in. Those are not going to be... currently, those are not big players in the move. Those are just a couple of deal sweeteners, I believe. And Trevor Bauer going to the Reds, that's another shocker. That's kind of a Marcus Stroman type of deal right there. Kind of everybody just kind of sits and they're kind of in shock that actually happened. I'm kind of surprised that happened. I had heard that the Reds were inquiring earlier that they were talking with the Indians, and then Trevor Bauer ends up going there. And I think that Trevor Bauer is another punch in the gut to all these contender teams like the Yankees that need starting pitching, like the Twins that are going after starting pitching. They need those guys, and they just lost out on two of the bigger trade deadline candidates in Trevor Bauer and Marcus Stroman, to two teams who aren't even coming close to making the playoffs, middle of the road to back in the wild card race, looking to contend for next year. It's almost kind of like that's the way they're starting their rebuild. They're getting some veteran players, but in the process, they're giving up some of their better minor league players that are going to end up leading that team if you're going to go with that rebuild. It's weird. The Reds are definitely in a rebuild state. And they gave up Taylor Trammell, a Futures Game MVP in 2018. That's a head scratcher. You still have right-hander Hunter Green in the organization, but he hasn't been 100% what he was advertised last year even. He's still going to be definitely at the least a pretty decent major league player. That's my firm belief. Again, the Ronis Elias deal still being finalized as we speak. Joel Sherman actually the one indicating that Elias is going to be traded to the Nationals. So, again, that's the latest deal. Ronis Elias traded from the Seattle Mariners to the Washington Nationals, giving the Nationals their second pick of the day and the deadline, Daniel Hudson and Ronis Elias. The Nats were inquiring about Shane Green just a few minutes ago. Them and the Braves are talking with the Tigers about getting one of the more prolific closers that doesn't throw the most heat. He's just a prolific closer, and he has been for a couple of years a prolific closer. And this is the year it seems like he's been more put out on the trade market because the Tigers are now in mega rebuild mode because they got a couple of solid pitchers in Matthew Boyd and in Shane Green that they can get a haul in return for. And the Tigers know that, and they're playing their cards right, asking for the Nationals for a guy like Carter Kieboom, a Futures Game participant in 2019, a guy who can slide right into the lineup maybe next year, if not late this year, indicating a couple of analysis from MLB Network and ESPN, and I completely agree. He is tearing it up in AAA at only 21 years old. He's destroying every pitcher at the AAA level. I think that this guy, his rookie season is going to be something to watch out for. at the least. He's definitely going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate in 2020 or 2021, depending on when he gets called up. It would kind of be a shame if he gets called up mid-season and he's not in that running for the Rookie of the Year. I think that next year, Carter Kieboom, if he stays with the Nationals and the Nationals decide not to pay that price for Shane Green, that Carter Kieboom's going to be on the opening day roster. Maybe not in the starting lineup, but definitely on the roster. No doubt. Again, I'll answer you guys' trade deadline questions in the live chat if you guys have any more questions. Looking here, just a couple of reinstating of Jonathan Lucroy and Dustin Garneau for designating Dustin Garneau for the Angels. And again, there's no waiver deadline this year, so this would be interesting to see how this goes. As Garneau, he's going to either have to be traded today, as this comes out that he's been DFA'd, or he's going to have to be either released or sent down to AAA. This is going to be the first time after July 31st, a DFA means that it's either on the free agent market or AAA assignment, no getting traded to a team where you might possibly back up catch in Dustin Garneau's position in the major leagues. So just be interesting to kind of note that. Again, the Nationals, Mets, keeping Edwin Diaz, the Daniel Hudson trade. Again, if you don't know what the return is for the Blue Jays, it's going to be Kyle Johnston. I'm going to check the Nationals prospect to see where he was ranked. Also to see what they might have to give up in terms of a possible Shane Green deal. But I think that if Shane Green gets traded, it probably will end up being... it's going to end up being to the Braves because, one, they have a better system. Two, they are willing to part with some of the bigger guys. Looking at this, you've got Carter Kieboom, number 1. This is the latest. Carter Kieboom, number 1. Luis Garcia, an infielder at number 2. Jackson Rutledge, right-handed pitcher, number 3. Will Crow, number 4, also a righty. Another righty, and Mason Deneberg. And you look at those top 5, you're going to have to give up at least 2 of them to get a Shane Green. Speaking of closers other than Shane Green and Edwin Diaz, let's talk about Felipe Vasquez for a second. A lot of rumors keep circling around him, around Diaz. You hear first, it's going to be really hard to match this offer. Next, it's essentially off the market that this offer is so big. Now the Pirates want Gavin Lux in a deal with the Dodgers, any deal. Adding another middle infielder, I know he's a top 10 prospect and he in the major leagues. He's a top 10 prospect in the entire farm system of anybody. Number 1 prospect easily for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers got to where they were because they said no on guys like Corey Seager, Alex Verdugo, Walker Buehler, Cody Bellinger. I think that they got to say no to Gavin Lux here. I hope they say yes to Gavin Lux, Dustin May, and Keeper Ruiz because that is the package the Pirates want for Felipe Vasquez, and I think anybody can see that. Even if you don't even if you've read probably one article on this trade. You know the Pirates want at least 3 of the top 4 prospects. The report was 2, but if they're going to want Gavin Lux, they're probably going to want 3 since they want Gavin Lux and Keibert Ruiz. And the package has not been offered because Gavin Lux has not been an offer in any trade. If that package is offered, I'd be surprised to see the Pirates take that. I think that they'd want to throw Dustin May in there before they 100% take an offer. If the Pirates get Keibert Ruiz, Gavin Lux, and Dustin May in an offer, I think you got to take that. You get a right-handed pitcher in Dustin May. He's pretty good. He's a top 100 prospect, as is Keibert Ruiz at catching, a position you desperately need, not to mention May, a right-handed pitcher. He could probably go into that starting rotation, which is in desperate need of a consistent arm. And you got Gavin Lux, who could be the next guy for the Dodgers if they decide to keep him. If not, he could be the guy in Pittsburgh alongside Josh Bell. Now I'm getting the alert on my phone. Elias is indeed going to the Nationals. So Ronis Elias is going to the Washington Nationals. See if I can get any more information on this trade. See if we can get the return. See what the return is. So there still is. See what we can do here. Still have no word on the return. We'll see. We got an article here on both of them. The Nationals close to acquiring Ronis Elias. So it's just still a close to, if not done deal for Elias. We cannot find the return. Nobody knows the return except for the two teams. And Robbie Ray talks have been stalled with the New York Yankees. So there is that. And the Yankees need starting pitching. I think that there's no doubt about that. The Yankees need a starting pitcher. They need to get one. Losing out on the two starters, Trevor Bauer and Marcus Stroman, that was a punch in the gut to the Yankees, definitely. They need starting. So it's the same thing with the Twins, but the Twins were supposed to be aggressors in this market, and there has been really no rumors about the Twins going heavy on anybody. The Twins haven't been as aggressive as a lot of people would expect, and as Twins fans would like in this deadline, and that really shocks me considering that the Indians are getting Yasiel Puig, Logan Allen, and Franmil Reyes. Reyes can go in a back cleanup probably for the Indians, with Jose Ramirez having a couple of disappointing seasons in a row, coming off of one of the better seasons in Indians history, coming in recent history. Lindor was talked about being traded, but now that the Indians are in contention spot, they are well ahead in the wild card race and for that first spot. They're only a few games behind the Minnesota Twins in the standings, and that's cause for concern that the Indians are getting a power-hitting outfielder, a power-hitting first baseman that could probably be a designated hitter in Reyes. And they're getting Logan Allen, who has had whose first couple of starts were good, but there hasn't really been anything past that. He still is a pretty darn good pitcher in the major leagues. He's the 90th prospect in the MLB right now. I think that the Indians got a nice haul for a Trevor Bauer. And they're poised to make a run at that AL Central. They're going to lead the AL Central at least one game before the season's over, mark my words. Definitely, that will happen 100%. All right, so here we go. Will Felipe Vasquez go to the Dodgers? That's going to be tough to say, Will. I say that if they get the right offer, yes, he will go to the Dodgers. But for the Dodgers to trade him, it's going to require Gavin Lux, as previously said by, I believe, Buster Only. It's going to take, it's going to take at least either a Keefer Ruiz or a Dustin May. And if the Dodgers are going to put the foot down and say no on Gavin Lux, then the Pirates aren't going to make that deal. The Pirates are definitely actively shopping Felipe Vasquez, but only for the right deal. It's kind of an odd situation. The Pirates want to deal Felipe Vasquez because they feel they can get a nice return. To answer your question, will Felipe Vasquez go to the Dodgers? This is a tough one, but I'm going to say no. Felipe Vasquez will not go to the Dodgers. if he goes to anybody, I think that he ends up going to Atlanta. I'll explain in a little bit. Got a couple other questions. I'll come back to that that he will most likely go to the Braves in a second. What do you think the Pirates will do? I think that they might stay put. If anything, they make a couple of trades with the Atlanta Braves. They have been reportedly looking for some outfield help, and Corey Dickerson put on a show. It was almost like an audition to other teams last night. 2 home runs. Ended up with, I believe, 4 or 5 RBIs. He made his audition last night, and there definitely, I believe, is a trade out there for Corey Dickerson that the Pirates will accept. More than likely with the Braves. Think that Dickerson could get a top 11 prospect. The Pirates could get a top 10 or 11 prospect in return for Dickerson. And I think that they will end up trading Corey Dickerson, but that's it. I think Felipe Vasquez is going to stay put. All right, Joshua asks, will the Reds make any other moves? Yes, I do think the Reds are going to make some other moves, but it will be to sell. I think Tanner Roark is one of the more underrated starting pitchers on the market, and I think that's where the Twins finally make a move. I think the Twins should attack and go after Tanner Roark. Tanner Roark is one of the more underrated starting pitchers on the market. He is up there with the top tier of starters that could be traded, but he's probably at the bottom of that list. Tanner Roark, he's a good pitcher. And I think that he would be a coveted addition for the Twins. Has anyone gone yet? I don't know who you're specifically asking about. Has anyone gone yet for the New York Mets? So nobody has gone for the New York Mets, if that's what you were asking, the sports boy. Nobody for the Mets has gone yet. And the reports are Noah Syndergaard and Edwin Diaz are off the trade market as of now. Syndergaard came off last night, which was why Syndergaard pitched 7 1/3 last night. A lot of people questioned that. He was taken off the trade market last night, minutes ago, I believe. So the only trade that the Mets will make is sell, I believe, is Zach Wheeler. Will the Giants trade Mad Bum? And I think you got the answer to your question there in the comment below from Hunter Andre. Mad Bum is probably going to stay. Mad Bum, he has been the answer for the Giants. He hasn't been the answer for the Giants, but he is a clutch player. I believe he's going to stay. So let's check our rumors again. Take a little refresh here. And speaking of Tanner Roark, the Twins are going to not get that coveted Tanner Roark. The Oakland Athletics, who have had a surprisingly active trade deadline, are going to acquire Tanner Roark from the Cincinnati Reds. So, Joshua, there you go. Will the Reds make any other moves? They just have. Tanner Roark from the Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher started just this week against the Pittsburgh Pirates in their series. He will be ending up going to the Oakland Athletics. Did Gleyber Torres get traded? No, he did not get traded. But, and I don't think he will be getting traded. Gleyber Torres, he was traded. He was a part of the Aroldis Chapman trade in 2016 just for a rental, and Chapman ended up going back to the Yankees. So the Yankees, they ended up winning that trade in the long run, but the Cubs won their World Series, so that you can say that they won the trade as well. Torres is not going to get traded. That's a guarantee. He's not going to go anywhere. Let's see if we have any other trades here. Here we go. We got a trade between the Brewers and the Giants. The Brewers and Giants are in agreement on a significant trade. Well-regarded second base prospect Mauricio Dubon is heading to Milwaukee. Madison Bumgarner is not in this big deal. that is something to note. Mad Bum is not going to Milwaukee in this deal, but Mauricio Dubon, one of the top prospects in the Giants organization, is heading to Milwaukee. Is heading from Milwaukee to San Francisco. So switch that around. Dubon is going to San Francisco. Madison Bumgarner is not the return for Milwaukee. Drew Pomeranz is one of the players going to Milwaukee. According to Ken Rosenthal, he is reporting all of this, other than Jeff Passan reporting that Ray Black will be going to the Milwaukee Brewers. So Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black going to the Milwaukee Brewers. We do not have all the details of this trade just yet. But Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black to the Milwaukee Brewers for, at this moment, Mauricio Dubon. So that's kind of a significant deal right there, considering Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black is the return for Milwaukee. Drew Pomeranz was talked about earlier today in terms of a guy who might get traded. So Drew Pomeranz off the market for anybody that wanted him. He will not be going to anybody but the Milwaukee Brewers. And the Milwaukee Brewers have made a couple of splashes in the past few days. Acquired Jordan Lyles from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now they have Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black, a couple of pitchers. Lefty Drew Pomeranz and the hard-throwing righty Ray Black, as put by Jeff Passan of ESPN. And once again, we're going to see if we have the return for Elias. So no, there has not been the reported return for Ronis Elias. So he is just going, so that's just going to be happening. So, hi, Michael's Baseball. Is Mad Bum staying here? I believe I'm guessing that was probably the question to the Brewers, Giants significant trade, and yeah, I think you know that might have been that. Mad Bum will be staying. He will not be going to Milwaukee. And Joshua asks again, who did the Reds get from Oakland? Let me refresh here and see if I can get the deal. So further details are unknown at this time, so I will be on that, Joshua. I'll make sure that as soon as I know the return, I will announce it so that you know who the Reds get back for Tanner Roark. That is still unknown. Yeah, that is still unknown who the Reds will be getting back. And we'll see who the Reds get back. They could probably get a decent return. I want to try to make a guess here because Tanner Roark is a pretty good pitcher. And he is definitely going to be a coveted addition for the Oakland Athletics. I would have guessed, if anything, he goes to the Twins because the Twins need to make a trade, but he is going to end up going to the Oakland Athletics, who have traded for Homer Bailey, Jake Diekman, and Tanner Roark. The Athletics are going to look to make a serious push to make it to the postseason again. So I'll see who you could be looking at for a return. We will see. Yes, I'm getting an alert now. So, top prospects include, for top prospect, Jesus Luzardo, AJ Puck, number 2. So I think that those two are probably going to be out of the question unless it's one player. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the lefty AJ Puck ends up being the one return. Take a look at the top 10 prospects here, which is probably what you're looking at as the return for Roark. The third prospect, catcher Sean Murphy. Fourth, middle infielder Jorge Mateo. Fifth, shortstop Robert Powson. Sixth, another middle infielder Nick Allen. Seventh, a shortstop Logan Davidson. Eighth, outfielder Jameson Hanna. Ninth, Sheldon Noose. And 10th, Luis Barrera. So that's that. Those are the top prospects. And the Nationals make another deal. This is their third deal within the past hour. The Nationals have struck a deal to acquire Hunter Strickland from the Mariners. So the Nationals make 2 trades with the Seattle Mariners, acquiring Hunter Strickland and Ronis Elias. So those are a couple of big deals. So Nationals fans here, yeah, you can be excited. You got some guys, but the system is going to take a hit. The minor league system is definitely going to take a hit for the Nationals. Getting those 3 guys who were middle-of-the-road relievers, but definitely highly regarded in their respective organizations, the Nationals might take a bit of a hit to their prospects. But I definitely think that there is no worry of getting rid of Carter Kieboom unless a Shane Green deal is struck by the Nationals. Oh, we do have the return here. This time we have the return. Aaron Fletcher will be going to Seattle in the return. So Aaron Fletcher, we'll see where he was in the Nationals organization. Aaron Fletcher, the return. See here, Aaron Fletcher, the 21st prospect in the Nationals organization. So I think that they got a nice deal there for Strickland, a little bargain. But again, he wasn't the biggest. Wasn't the biggest name on the market, but still, I believe he was highly regarded in Seattle. Still no word on the return for Tanner Roark. So the Brewers are getting Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black for Mauricio Dubon. I believe that is the final trade there. And still no. Here we go. The return for Ronis Elias, which has kind of been the biggest trade of the day to this point. Of today. Not the trade deadline, clearly. I think that the Trevor Bauer trade was definitely the biggest. So they get Elvis Alvarado and Taylor Guilbeau. So let's see them. Let's look for that. So Taylor Guilbeau was the 15th prospect in the Nationals organization. Elvis Alvarado doesn't look like he's on this list. I'll look his name up real quick. Yes, Elvis Alvarado is not on the list. So a 15th prospect in the Nationals organization and a not ranked prospect in the Nationals organization going back to Seattle. So the Nationals striking 2 deals with Seattle at getting 2 bullpen pitchers at bargains. So the Nationals have done a good job so far getting trades done. Kyle Johnston, let's see where he was. He was number 27, so they've gotten rid of 3 top 30 prospects in the organization, but none top 10. That should be noted. The Nationals have done a good job at the trade deadline. That's definitely being seen as we see all these deals come in. As the Rays, they haven't acquired, but they are pursuing Zach Wheeler. So Wheeler could be on the move to Tampa Bay. They have Charlie Morton already. Soon to be recalled, Brendan McKay and Yanni Chirinos are really the only 2 top starters. Is Blake Snell last week? He is at the least on the injuries list for the majority of the rest of the season. So losing a Cy Young who was a Cy Young last year, that's definitely a hit. And Zach Wheeler could provide a little bit of a spark we'll see what the Rays can give up. They've definitely got one of, if not the best, farm systems in all of MLB, containing Wander Franco, Brendan McKay, and a couple others that have found their way into the top 100. All right, here we go. Do you think Robbie Ray or Greinke are going to get moved? Greinke's going to stay put because nobody's going to be willing to pay the price for a future Hall of Famer. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's a minors pitching prospect. Yes. Now we now have that. And horrible trade for the Brewers. Which one? Was it the Jordan Lyles trade or the Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black trade? Because if it's the Drew Pomeranz, Ray Black trade, I think that was a good trade, but the Jordan Lyles, I'm not 100% sure about that. I think that the Pirates are going to end up winning that one in the long run. So Ray Black's stats, we'll see what his ERA on the year is. All right, here is his stats for the season. Ray Black, he is now a Brewer. He has a career 6.29 ERA. This season, he's only pitched in 2 games. 2 innings pitched, an inning per game, giving up 4 hits, 1 run on a home run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. He's got a 2.50 whip and a 4.50 ERA on the year. So that's his stat line, Hunter. Yes, the Pomeranz trade, I'm not 100% sure that was such a bad trade. But considering, yes, that Dubon is hitting 297 with 16 home runs, 47 RBI, and 404 ABs. Thank you for the stat, Bryce. Thank you for those. I definitely think that was a risky trade for the Milwaukee Brewers. They're playing to win right now. That is definitely being shown. I don't think Dubon is worth Pomeranz and Ray Black, especially considering Black has pitched 2 games this year. Pomeranz to the Brewers, you can think whatever you want of it, but considering those stats, it's such a risky trade that I don't know who is right in that trade. Who is going to end up winning that trade in the long run? I think that you're definitely going to have to wait a decent bit to see who ends up winning that deal in the end. Again, the Rays pursuing Zach Wheeler. And here we go. Another Nationals to acquire Ronis Elias. That's made the top headlines again on TradeRumors.com. All right. They're playing to win. Wouldn't they go after Wheeler? Wouldn't they go after, say, Wheeler for Dubon? That does seem more logical, Bryce. I don't know. Maybe they were... I'll answer your question in a second, King Ding. Seems more logical. It does seem more logical. I think that we're on the same page with this, Bryce. This is a risky trade. Looking to win now, it does seem more logical to go after, say, a Zach Wheeler, but I've seen a couple of reports that the Brewers have at least checked in on Wheeler, and if they were willing to part with Dubon for those 2 pitchers, I can only say that there's 2 explanations that this trade has been made. The reason for this trade: one, they wanted to get multiple pitchers for Dubon, wanted to get more players for Dubon, and say that he was the more valuable player, which I believe he is in this instance. Or the Wheeler asking price, the initial price was so high, or even just a little bit too high, that the Brewers weren't willing to even talk anymore. Weren't even willing to negotiate any more trade ideas. That could be the only thing I could come up with. Bryce, if you have anything else that you could come up with why this could be the trade Dubon to the Giants, why don't you go ahead and say something and see if we're on the same page. And who do you think the Yanks are going to get here? They better hurry up. They have checked in with Robbie Ray, but the talks are stalled. So I don't know if the Yankees are going to be able to do anything if the talks are stalled with Robbie Ray. Because there's a lot of other teams that I believe that are in this. Let me see if I can find the alert earlier, see if which pitcher has this. There is a pitcher. Yes, Zach Wheeler has 9 teams checking in on him. So for Bryce, I think that maybe going after Wheeler, having 9 teams, talking to 9 teams, I think that you could be able to get one team to go for a steep asking price. What about Boyd? I don't know. I definitely think the Yankees could be able to go after a Matt Boyd and be able to acquire him with their at least somewhat deep farm system. Devi Garcia, I don't think that they're going to part with him. But I definitely think the Yankees have a somewhat deep farm system and that they could be able to strike a deal for Matthew Boyd. But the initial asking price has been reportedly pretty high for Matthew Boyd. So with them checking in on Robbie Ray so frequently, now that the talks are stalled, that could be an option to go with Matthew Boyd. So I thank you for that little reminder that Matthew Boyd's on the market. Kind of forgot about him for a second. Here we go. Alrighty. So, Joshua, if you are still here. Alright, I'll answer these couple of questions from Bryson Kingding. Joshua, if you are still here, we have the return for Tanner Roark. Jamison Hanna is going to be going to Cincinnati, the number 8 prospect in the Athletics organization, outfielder. So that is going to be what the return is for Tanner Roark if Joshua's still in the chat. All right, here we go with the questions. First one from Bryce. Well, if they were going to get 2 pitchers, would they go with Sam Dyson instead of Ray Black? I don't know. I think that right there makes you put at least one more non-top 30 prospect in, just considering Dyson's value. Considering Dyson's value, I think that was the problem. That asking price might have been a little too steep to get Pomeranz and Dyson. I don't think Dubon alone would have been able to do the trick there. That's the only problem I can see with it. I don't know if that could be in any way something that could have happened. But yeah, I think that going after Dyson and Pomeranz instead of Black and Pomeranz would have made more sense. But the only problem I can see with that from a Brewer standpoint is that the asking price would be just a little too steep. Clint Frazier's going. I don't know about that. A lot of teams are really skeptical on Clint Frazier. I can see him being traded by the day's end, but just all of the different seasons he's had good seasons and bad seasons. Just the inconsistencies with Frazier will definitely make it something to watch for. But I don't think that Clint Frazier will be traded that easily, and I don't think that he alone would be suited in a trade for just Matthew Boyd. Clint Frazier, yeah, I could see him going in that deal for Matthew Boyd, but I definitely think that a Clint Frazier is only a deal sweetener. Clint Frazier being a deal sweetener, I think that's the only way he leaves. What's up with the Yanks? Nothing really much. Last thing we heard, a Yankees rumor, was that they were in talks with the Diamondbacks about Robbie Ray, but the talks are stalled. Mini trade here. Zach Gallen will be traded from the Miami Marlins to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Don't know really much about that. Kind of pissed that the Giants took Bumgarner off. Yeah, that's definitely something that's definitely a big hurt for everybody looking for a starting pitcher. 3 starting pitchers basically off the market were taken off the market, and they're not with contenders the rest of the year. Yeah, just talked about that, Bryce. D-backs got a pitching prospect. They did get Zach Gallen from the Marlins. See what the return for Miami is in just a bit. Also, Syndergaard, yeah, I was kind of surprised about that, but if you're looking at it from a Yankees standpoint, I don't think the Yankees really had much of a shot at Syndergaard just because the Padres were they were ready. They were more ready to part with some of the big prospects because they had been in talks more frequently than, say, the New York Yankees. I think they were just in more frequent talks with the Mets that the Padres, if anybody, were going to land Noah Syndergaard. Let's see if we got anything else going on here. It's a pretty frequent page. All right, Jazz Chisholm is going to be going to Miami in the return. So, young shortstop Jazz Chisholm to the Miami Marlins. And the Arizona Diamondbacks acquire young righty Zach Gallen. So, kind of a minor transaction there. Athletics. Tanner Roark again. Ronnie Solias. Yeah, nothing really much past that trade. No, I didn't hear about that, how mad Marcus Stroman was. Says D-backs want... Okay, so here we go. Heyman says D-backs want Frazier and 3 prospects from the Yankees, but not happening now, pursuing Wheeler. Frazier's your number 1 prospect. He definitely has the potential to be, but I think that Deivi Garcia is definitely your number 1 prospect. Felipe Vasquez just got traded. If that is true, that Vasquez just got traded, Jaredick. Yeah. What if this question's for me, King Dang? I'm using MLB or TradeRumors.com for my stuff. And Felipe Vasquez just got traded. Jazz Chisholm. He went from the D-backs to the Marlins, I believe, right? Let me check the Diamondbacks' top prospects. And again, whoever said that Vasquez just got traded, please tell me where you got that information from, because I need to know 100% what's going on with that. As a big Pirates fan, I don't if you guys probably know, some of you probably know that, but big Pirates fan here, I need to know what's going on with Felipe Vasquez. I have been kind of paranoid with that. All right. It'll be prospect watch. Here we go. Arizona Diamondbacks. Jazz Chisholm was the number 1 prospect for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's interesting. We'll see where the Marlins had their guy being traded. All right, we'll see that in a Zach Gallen, a number 5 prospect for a number 1 prospect. Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow, okay, I did get the alert. Did just get the... Okay, so... Corey Dickerson traded to the Philadelphia Phillies. I got to look at a lot of these. This is a lot of stuff just coming up right now. Yeah, Phillies to acquire Corey Dickerson. Reading this now. We'll see what John Heyman says on Twitter. Look that up right now. So definitely, yes, it has been the trade. Here, let me look this up. All right, John Heyman. Yes, Phillies get Corey Dickerson. Jeff Passan reported it first. So Corey Dickerson has been dealt. That was almost kind of like an audition last night. I did say that. Dickerson to the Philadelphia Phillies. So Whit Merrifield for Harrison Bader and Colton Wong. That's definitely an interesting deal. I would take that deal if I were in the Royals position. Harrison Bader and Colton Wong. Nice young player. Colton Wong, a veteran shortstop, to kind of slide in. And Harrison Bader, an outfielder to replace Merrifield, who is young, has a lot of pop and speed. I would take that deal, but just because the Royals, how highly they value him and how big the they value him, and the contract is so team friendly that the Royals are going to want so much for him. Andre, I was on the Pirates game. Everybody was hugging him. Yeah, it's always kind of emotional to see players go out at the trade deadline. Kind of saddened to see Corey Dickerson go, but kind of knew that was coming. Alrighty. We're going to stick with Nick Ahmed. I do think you're going to stick with Nick Ahmed. No Syndergaard staying or going. The reports are Syndergaard was taken off the trade market last night, just before his start. He went 7 1/3 innings. So Syndergaard more than likely staying. Talks are dead, yes. The asking price is just too steep for anybody to kind of pay. I want to know if the D-backs are rebuilding or are playing for 2020. As a D-backs fan, I do need to know that. I would like to know that as a Pirates fan, what we are doing. We really don't. But I don't know what the D-backs are doing, honestly. They got so many veteran players. If they end up, I think that they're going to end up rebuilding. They're going to be rebuilding, for sure. I don't think that they can play for 2020, especially trading a number one prospect. And in such a competitive NL West where they can barely compete with the bottom 4 teams. Plus, you've got the Dodgers, who are just a powerhouse every single year. I think that the D-backs are trying to rebuild and kind of wait out the Dodgers. Or maybe wait out a couple other teams. They're not playing for 2020. I'm just going to say that. Another good starting pitcher, and the Yankees win the World Series. I think that they're going to need a good starting pitcher. That actually might be right, Johan. I think you might be right on that. He was crying. It didn't seem like it would be such a bad thing for Dickerson himself to be leaving. Going to a better team, a possible playoff contender, the Philadelphia Phillies, not moving too long. Not moving too far away. All right. Haven't been watching the game. I've been up here kind of just doing this trade deadline rumors. So, yeah, the D-backs not playing for 2021. I think you're going to end up sticking with Nick Ahmed. Another good starting pitcher, and the Yankees win the World Series? Quite possibly. Depends on how good that starting pitcher is. That is very true, Bryce. Game 5 or Game 7, Yankees don't really have many people to trust. I'm going to say they need 2 good starting pitchers. And they got to be willing to give up some of the big prospects. Mad Bum most likely staying. I'm going to say that for Madison Bumgarner to go to the Yankees, that's got to be such a big trade that they're going to have to give up Deivi Garcia, their top prospect, and arguably one of the better prospects in the major leagues. That is going to be the price for Madison Bumgarner at this point. So the Yankees, they just got to be willing to put it all in on Robbie Ray, definitely. I think that that's 100% the case at this point. They got to be willing to go all in on Robbie Ray. And then maybe to get a guy like Zach Wheeler, they're going to have to be all in. Zach Wheeler and Robbie Ray to the Yankees, and I think that gives you a trustworthy Game 5 and or Game 7 pitcher I think that the Yankees will be willing to pay that price, Bryce. I got an alert, and infielder Tony Kemp is going to be traded to the Chicago Cubs as the Cubs flip Maldonado to the Astros after acquiring him for trading Mike Montgomery to the Kansas City Royals. Word Robbie is the man. I definitely think that he could be a trustworthy starter. Debbie Garcia will go. Yep. I do think that they will be willing to pay that price. I think that the Yankees, they'll be willing to give up a couple of top 7 prospects for Robbie Ray and Zach Wheeler. I think if you're the Yankees and you want to get those starting pitchers to trust in the last few games of a World Series or a ALCS or ALDS for a Game 5, you got to be willing to give up some of those top 10 prospects that are coveted. Let's see who Dickerson is traded for. We still have no idea who that is. Dodgers and Braves still pursuing Shane Green. Yes, that is the report. So, no. Yes, there is no word on the return for Corey Dickerson. Let's go to the prospect watch and see who we could possibly expect for a Corey Dickerson. If it's 2 prospects, it's going to be 2 in the bottom 20. So, here we go. They got a decent system here. They've got some left-handed pitchers at 10 and 11. I think that the Pirates are going to end up getting either Eric Miller or JoJo Romero, left-handed pitcher, number 10 and 11 prospects in the Phillies organization. One of those 2 players is going to be going. And I think that at best case scenario, you get the 7th prospect, Francisco Morales, or 8th prospect, Enyel de los Santos, in a return for Corey Dickerson. I think that they're going to get a top 15 left-handed pitching prospect. I think that they're going to end up getting JoJo Romero. That's my current guess. We'll see who ends up coming over. More has been added to this article, but it's more about It is more about just what Dickerson brings to the table. Alrighty. Let's refresh this. John Heyman, Dodgers Braves, still working on Shane Green and his 1.18 ERA. Let's see what. A lot of guys to follow when it comes to trade deadline talk. You got John Morosi, you got John Heyman. Let's see what he says. He's come out with a couple of the big deals. Morosi. Oh, here we go. This is going to be a huge one, definitely. Big report. And the Rays have made an offer. All right, just kind of look at what Corey Dickerson will be traded for. So the Tigers' negotiating position in Shane Green talks with the Braves just became stronger as Atlanta has pulled closer Luke Jackson after facing 2 hitters and recording no outs in the 9th inning today. And the Rays have made an offer for Zach Wheeler, but no indication that there is a close deal between the two. Are they trying to win? Of course, they're going all in. Yanks also might have to give up Jonathan Loisiga. I definitely think that he's going to have to be a pitcher that is given up for Robbie Ray. Loisiga and one of your better bat prospects. One of your better prospects that is good with a bat in his hands. Giants and Brewers just made a trade. Are you indicating the trade between Pomeranz and Black for the highly coveted second base prospect? Can't think of the name. I'll try to go back. Here, it's been mentioned a couple of times. Number 1 prospect. Here we go. Yes, Dubon. The prospect going to Diamondbacks. And honestly, if the Yanks don't get Ray, no one will. Nobody really is deep into the talks with Robbie Ray as the Yankees are. focus on lesser relievers instead of Vasquez. Yeah, I definitely think that at this point you have to if you're the Dodgers. The asking price is just too steep, and the Dodgers have definitely indicated that. See if we have any indication of who is returned. So the Twins have acquired Marcos Diplan from the Brewers. Kind of a mini trade right there. And see if we have anything on the Phillies acquiring Corey Dickerson. No indication on the return yet. Let's see if Ken Rosenthal has come out with anything. Ken Rosenthal Twitter. All right, sources confirms Corey Dickerson heading to from the Pirates to the Phillies. Agreement pending a medical review. With the Dodgers an hour, the Pirates have so here we go. The Pirates have not, with the deadline an hour away, the Pirates have not moved off their ask of Gavin Lux or Dustin May plus Keeper Ruiz from the Dodgers for Felipe Vasquez. The Dodgers, yes, they are currently focused on lesser relievers. Situation remains fluid, subject to change. So the Phillies have added Drew Smyly, Corey Dickerson, Jason Vargas, Blake Parker, Jose Perella, Mike Morin, also Jay Bruce and Brad Miller in June. So we'll see what's going on here. Let's go with Jeff Passan. See what's going on with him. Yes, his last one was also the Corey Dickerson deal. What is the deadline? At the end of the day or a certain time? Yeah, 1 hour left. Pirates, yes, they won't move off of that. All right. So again, Chris, if you're still here, Giants and Brewers, is it a different trade or no? I'm going to close a couple of tabs here. Still wondering what the return is for Dickerson. All right, why don't you guys leave it in the chat. What will the return for Corey Dickerson be? Make your guesses right now. Again, more questions. Happy to answer them for you guys. Give my personal opinions on everything. If you guys have updates you want to, that I may not, also leave them. See if we now have anything. Corey Dickerson, still no return for him. Yeah, no. No indication of any more trade. Okay, we're going to go to John Heyman's Twitter again. He seemed to be more active today in terms of tweeting trades and updates. Still, the Dodgers Braves working on Shane Green. That's Braves very close to acquire Ken Rosenthal. Just about to check him out. Sorry about all the tab switching, guys. If you guys are kind of not good with that. So the Braves close to acquiring Shane Green. That was the indication from John Morrissey that the Braves were pretty close to it. So sources tell The Athletic. Wonder what the return will be. That's gonna be a question. What will their return be? The Braves have a pretty deep farm system. Let's take a look and try to make some guesses. I definitely think it's going to be at least 2 of the top 10 prospects for the Atlanta Braves, considering Green has the 1.18 ERA. Finally, here we go. Atlanta Braves. So they got Christian Pache, Drew Waters, Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright. Top 4 prospects. Shea Langris, Bryce Wilson, Joey Wentz, Kyle Muller, William Contreras, and Brandon Shellmake. So at least two of those guys are definitely going to the Braves. I think that they're going to be ended up parting with Joey Wentz and Drew Waters. I think that those are going to be the two guys that the Braves are going to be giving up out of their farm system for Shane Green in that trade. Braves nearing deal for Shane Green. That is on here as well. Phillies to acquire Corey Dickerson. Wow, this is very interesting and probably frustrating for Pirates fans. The Pirates will not receive a player in return for Dickerson. It's possible the Pirates that Pittsburgh is picking up some international funds then, or that Pirates ownership was simply happy to shed the remainder of his salary. That's got to be frustrating. That's frustrating for me personally that there is no return for Corey Dickerson. There is no return for Corey Dickerson. That's absolutely ridiculous considering his value. A Gold Glove winner last year. Yes, he might not have been the best. He might not have been the best outfielder in recent weeks, but he has been fantastic with the bat. He just came off a 2 home run, 5 RBI game. That is a horrible trade, Bryce. Thank you. That is got to be one of the worst trades. It's not like a McCutchen trade where you got to wait for the outcome. It's just a face of the franchise leaving. You're not even getting anybody in return. You're just getting some international bonus money and dumping his contract. As opposed to another team like the Braves who might have given you maybe not even a top 30 prospect. At least it's somebody, not just some international bonus money. I would rather get some international bonus money. I'd rather get a player than some international bonus money and shed his contract. Honestly. Could you check on LA? Don't know what that's supposed to mean. Jim Salisbury of NBC Sports Philadelphia reporting that there will be no return for Dickerson. Basically no return. Yes, 4 home runs and 25 RBI, even though he's hitting .317. He was plagued with injuries. 4 games into the season, he's injured, and he doesn't come back till mid-June. And still, he put up some good numbers for being back in just June. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he is playing. He's such a fundamentally sound baseball player that it shouldn't matter if he has power with the bat. Dodgers getting Jed Jerko. Where are you hearing that? I heard that he was definitely being shopped. Probably Ken Rosenthal here. Yes, Dodgers acquiring Jed Jerko from the St. Louis Cardinals. So, wonder what the return for him will be. Third baseman. He's definitely an interesting subject because he's been on the injured list for a decent amount of the year. So he hasn't had All right, so John Morrissey tweeting that the Dodgers' top fallback will be off the board. And now that the pressure is increasingly high on the Dodgers to complete the deal for Felipe Vasquez, that is a major development considering we have 45 minutes left to go until the deadline is reached, until the deadline time has been reached. Oh, there we go. This is way better. So, according to MLB.com's Todd Zolicki, the Phillies will send international bonus allotments and a player to be named later to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Pirates will be getting a player. Yes, per Ken Rosenthal, both of those things. I think that Shane Green being happy to trade into the Braves was, yes, John Morrissey. So also, according to Morrissey, the pressure is increasingly high for the Dodgers to get Vasquez. Major development considering the asking price is so high. And now that the closer market has slimmed down to, for the Dodgers, Shane Green off the market. He's going to the Atlanta Braves. Also off the market, Edwin Diaz. He's not going to anybody. At this point, if you're the Dodgers, you want to get a closer, you might have to throw Matthew Boyd into that spot. Very little closers on the market now. The Dodgers might not get anything. And that would be upsetting for Dodgers fans considering that they're going for a World Series. They're going for a World Series. They've lost 2 in a row. They didn't get to the World Series and lose this year because they don't have a closer. They're the Buffalo Bills of baseball. I don't think there's a doubt about that they will be labeled the Buffalo Bills of baseball if they can't win the World Series this year, but if they make it. Try to call up Dustin May. I don't think that he is going to be a guy who is 100% ready for a postseason run. He's a rookie. He's got to be... He is going to be Dustin May, we're talking about right now. We are just about 40 minutes away from the deadline time. Dustin May, I think that definitely could be a solution, Bryce. Don't get me wrong. But there is that slight possibility that he's not ready for the major leagues. That he could have the classic rookie blow-up. He's going to have one of the greatest rookie performances in playoff history for the Dodgers to be able to get by not getting Vasquez and winning the World Series. They can win the World Series without Vasquez. That's all right for the Dodgers. They don't win the World Series and they don't get anybody today. They're going to be under tremendous scrutiny from the entire baseball community. Yeah, Jerko hitting 196 and 56 ABs this year. On with this chat, Yanks on pressure for a starting pitching. Yanks on pressure for a starting pitching. If they fail to get one, they failed every Yankees fan. At least you're not a Dodgers fan. If the Dodgers don't get anybody for a back-end bullpen help with Kenley Jansen's problems this year, they failed every Dodgers fan tremendously. If the Yankees don't get a starting pitcher, yes, that is definitely a big disappointment, but not in terms of I don't know how to put this. Not in terms of World Series caliber. I think the Yankees, regardless of what they acquire today and what they don't acquire, I think that they're definitely coming out of the American League. Especially considering the Twins, their only real threat, in my opinion, haven't done anything. The Astros, the other real threat, what have they done? Nothing. I did hear Aaron Sanchez was getting some attention. Yes, Jerko going to the Dodgers. First thing on here. Going to check some Twitter accounts real quick, see if anything has changed. We're going to go to John Heyman, then we're going to go to Ken Rosenthal, then Jeff Passan. Yes, the Sanchez thing, I'm reading that from Heyman, but some may be backing off due to his preference to start. So that is going to definitely be some issues. You don't want to have tension, especially considering you're a contending team that needs to just get done. They need to get the deal done. They need to get their pitcher on the field. They need to do their job. If Aaron Sanchez wants to be a starter and teams are looking for a back end to get him, I think that they need to back off because they cannot have that tension. Let's look at Ken Rosenthal here. Yes, the Dodgers acquiring Jed Jerko. That's the last thing from him. Jeff Passan. See what he has to say. And his is the last. So that's it currently. Nothing else huge other than the Aaron Sanchez. Okay, Dodgers will get someone. I don't know. It'll happen at 1 p.m. at 4 p.m. on the dot. Mark my words, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles. I do realize that. What do you think about Shane Bieber? I know Indians fans are going to hate me for saying this, but I think that he is slightly overrated. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic pitcher, but I think that people give him a little too much credit for what he does. Jordan Gaming caught a Reds commemorative ball at Citi Field. I would like to try to get one of those. I don't want Reds. He has 18 home runs and 6 RBI. I don't want him to get traded. Dodgers could persuade him. Everybody, I do think that the Dodgers might be able to persuade him. But just with the things, with the way people go nowadays, I think people are seeing it with the Antonio Brown thing, that players, they don't cooperate just to win a championship. They want what they feel is best for them. If Sanchez feels it's best for him to start, he isn't going to back down. That's what has happened nowadays with all the media attention and all the platforms where you can express yourself and get people on your side. I just think with that the Dodgers can try, but I think that it is less likely nowadays just because of the social media platform and all of that persuasion that the player could get the Dodgers to move a starter to the bullpen. Just with the way the media is nowadays, that just seems like it could be a possible scenario as well. All right, final. The Reds have beaten the Pirates. Just getting that alert, so all the Pirates are going to be on edge to see if they're the next to be dealt. Going to keep a close eye on all these Twitter accounts. Who? The Dodgers and Pirates, according to John Morrissey, are engaged in a staring contest over Felipe Vasquez. At this moment, that will possibly determine the outcome of the World Series. A staring contest over Felipe Vasquez could determine the World Series. This is interesting. This is getting better by the minute. Are you going to be at the game Friday? I'm assuming you're at the Pirates game. No, I will. I do not think I will be at the game Friday. I will be at the game Saturday. Okay, but the thing that is mainly for the big stars, Aaron Sanchez, I'm sure, would kill to do anything useful for a team. I do think you're right. I'm not saying that it is impossible for any persuasion to happen with the Dodgers and Aaron Sanchez, but I'm saying that it is going to take a little more nowadays just with all the social media persuasion. All right, if no Vasquez deal is done at 3:30, I think that I'm going to get off the stream for a bit and just kind of listen to some analysis myself. Okay. Here we go. Ken Rosenthal. Nothing there. All right, let's check some of the other guys. All right, as of 3 minutes ago, the Yankees are out on Wheeler, concentrating more on pen arms, from what Joel Sherman hears. And the Mets are talking to the Rays and Astros and Yankees included, but selling teams will keep if not get what they want. Okay, so the Rays and the Astros are the last two, it looks like, that are looking at Wheeler. The last the two biggest contenders for a Wheeler trade are the Astros and the Rays. All right, bro, who doesn't want to be on a World Series contender team? It's like the NBA players wanting rings. It kind of is. It's true, though. If the Dodgers get him, that could be the Dodgers' first World Series since 1988. Is Trevor Bauer going to the Reds? Yeah, that happened yesterday. Thank you for that vindication, Bryce. All right, here we go. It is official. The Braves are acquiring Shane Green, according to Buster Only. The deal is final. Pending the medical, the Braves get Shane Green, and for sure, now the staring contest to determine the World Series will go on till 3:59. I think if you're the Dodgers, if you don't get the Pirates to bite at 3:59, I think you're gonna have to bite. You're gonna have to take the bait for the Pirates. I think that if you're the Dodgers, any cost, you have to get Felipe Vasquez because he's the last option, I believe, for the Dodgers to possibly make a playoff run. Not make a playoff run, they're making the playoffs. But I think that he is your last option to be the front runners to win the World Series. No doubt about it. You've got to get him at all costs if you're the Dodgers. If it means Dustin May, Keibert Ruiz, and Gavin Lux, so be it. Make the deal at 3:59. If you're the Dodgers, you have to wait this out. I think that there's a possibility they're giving up May and Lux. The Dodgers are desperate enough to give up May, Lux, and Ruiz, but it's going to be but it's not going to happen till 3:59, and it won't come out from sources until about 4:05. I think that the Dodgers' dream deal is Ruiz and a prospect not in the top four. That's their dream deal. The Pirates' dream deal is Lux, May, and Ruiz. I think that the compromise is going to end up being Lux and Ruiz, honestly. I think that they need Lux, him being a second baseman as well, not just a shortstop, with Corey Seager being at the shortstop position. Lux can play second base. You're saying I know they have Seager, but the problem is I think that they'll be able to slide the switch hitting middle infielder into second base. May, if he's willing to go back end, they're going to want to keep May. If he wants to be a starter, yeah, I think that you're going to be willing to part with Dustin May. I don't know if that's 100% certain or not. Ruiz, I feel like, will be the only thing that hurts the Dodgers. It could be, especially considering you have a couple of years left with Russell Martin. If you can get him to re-sign or pick up an option after this year, if he does have any options, I don't know if he does. They do have Will Smith, though, for a catcher, so I'm not 100% sure Ruiz can hurt. I think that there's a couple other scenarios the Dodgers are thinking that allow them to part with Keibert Ruiz. I think that that's why they're going to be willing to trade Ruiz. No matter what, Ruiz is going to the Pittsburgh Pirates in any deal for Felipe Vasquez. And if the Pirates want Lux and Ruiz will be the final deal if this staring contest goes until 3:59, because the Dodgers are going to get Felipe Vasquez. I firmly believe that at this point. I firmly believe that the Dodgers are going for Felipe Vasquez. They're going to get him at this point. They're too desperate. They're too desperate for anything at this point. They need to get somebody. Matthew Boyd, I think, is going to stay put. Matthew Boyd will stay put. And the Dodgers are focused on other things right now. This is a joke. Robert Murray tweeting, Ken Rosenthal retweets, Rays are acquiring Rocky Gale from the Dodgers in exchange for cash considerations. They're not even focused on Felipe Vasquez. They won't get him. if this keeps up, if they're just making these minor trades for Jed Jerko, getting rid of Rocky Gale, they're not going to be getting Felipe Vasquez. Their firm focus needs to be on the staring contest, or the reported staring contest that is Felipe Vasquez, the best closer on the market. He was better than Shane Green. He's better than Shane Green. He's got better stuff. Yes, Green has a 1.18 ERA. And Vasquez is just about at 1.98. Last time I checked, about a week ago. I really don't. Honestly, I don't know what's going on at this point. What? I don't know what the Dodgers want to do anymore. I thought that they would be going all in on Vasquez. They're not. They're making other trades. Yeah, 5 different relievers. Thank you for that update, Bryce. Starter market tough. They might have to beef up a pen. All right, thank you for watching my ball hawking videos, Hunter. A couple more coming out. All-Star Game videos coming out if you're into ball hawking on the channel. Joel Sherman says Mets also might want to buy and beef up the pen, but still sell Wheeler. I think that definitely could be an option that the Mets do. I think that if you're the Yankees, you have to go after bullpen arms that you can convert to starting arms. Hey, Matthew Boyd. Somebody like that. And Aaron Sanchez. For the Yankees, the preference for Aaron Sanchez to start works perfectly because they need starters. If Aaron Sanchez goes anywhere, my firm belief is he will be going to the New York Yankees. The Yankees need starters. Sanchez wants to start. The puzzle pieces fit perfectly. All right, no word on the return for Jed Jerko or Shane Green. Trade not even official yet, especially with the physical pending, but Shane Green will be going to the... All right, Braves get Junior Murphy from D-backs for considerations per Robert Murray. Need to look up this Murray. Had seen a couple retweets from him, and now he's making this D-backs deal. Reporting the D-backs deal. John Ryan Murphy from the D-back, not Junior Murphy, for cash considerations. So that's not a bad trade. John Ryan Murphy, catcher. Yankees are stupid. They need starting pitchers, not relief. John Ryan, yes, thank you for that, Bryce. Now I'm realizing that. Yankees are stupid. They need starting pitching, not reliefs. The thing is, though, Yohan, they're looking to go to the bullpen pitchers, but I think that the beef up the pen suggestion is just kind of, I don't know, kind of a guess. Because they could be going for bullpen arms that can give you 5-6 innings. That can become starters. Aaron Sanchez, Matthew Boyd, mentioned a couple of the names before. I think that if they go after those two to, quote, beef up the pen, they can throw them into starting spots easily. Less than half an hour, and the staring contest reportedly continues between the Pirates and Dodgers. All right, Braves, Shane Green. It's going to be a haul for the Tigers for that Shane Green deal. All right, we're going to look at the main Twitter accounts here. Still the staring contest reported from John Morrissey. Five different relievers from John Heyman. The Rocky Gale trade from Ken Rosenthal, retweeted. Check in with Joel Sherman in a minute. Yeah, told Mets are not only in sell mode with Wheeler, but also are talking about buying as deadline approaches. They want to bulk up the pen. Thank you for that update, Bryce. Something like Nathan Eovaldi for the Red Sox last year. Absolutely. They need to go after a guy like Nathan Eovaldi. That is a perfect comparison here, Bryce. You hit that right on the nose. Perfect comparison. All right, we're about an hour and 30 minutes into this. 3 hours and 35. It's 3:35 currently. 25 minutes until the deadline. Beefing up pen is security. That is a security. So, with about 25 minutes, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the deadline, kind of sit downstairs, think up some thoughts in my head, and I will come out with a trade deadline recap video tomorrow. That will be out tomorrow or even later tonight. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. Might even be a live stream if you guys want to tune in and ask questions on that. So thanks for tuning into the trade deadline live stream. Go enjoy the trade deadline. Make sure to comment below any questions you have. Can't start, but also come out of the pen and throw 100. That is definitely true about Nathan Eovaldi. If you're talking about Eovaldi, I believe. So I'm going to go enjoy the deadline. You guys enjoy the rest of your deadline, and make sure to tune in later tonight or tomorrow morning for the trade deadline recap, either live stream or video. Haven't decided what I'm going to do there. So enjoy the rest of the trade deadline, and thank you so much for the trade deadline live stream. Had so much fun with you guys. Thanks for watching, man.